Hey, I'm Dan. In this video, I'm going to show you how I plan my ideal week in an easy 3-step process. All right, let's get started. Okay, step number 1, we're going to do the energy audit. So as part of understanding how you're spending your time now, you need to go through the last 2 to 4 weeks of your calendar. And the process is super simple. All you're going to do is review all the activities, both personally and professionally, and we're going to jot those down into the energy audit framework. But don't worry, I've got a link below where you can download the framework for free. So once you put all of your activities in the framework, the next step is to rate those based on how much energy they give you and how aligned are those to your goals. It's a pretty cool process to go through because it does bring a fair few activities to the surface that might not be serving you and actually might be someone else's priorities that have made their way into your calendar. So it gives you an opportunity to review those, see the things you're not doing enough of, but also seeing the things that you might be able to delegate, eliminate, or limit. So it's a pretty fun process. So hey, I'm going to jump into my screen now and just give you a quick look at what the framework looks like. All right, so here we are inside the energy audit framework. So this would have to be, it's up there with probably one of the best parts of the cut-through clarity system, but it definitely brings a lot of things to the surface. So when you go and you review your calendar for the last 2 to 4 weeks and you go through all the activities, so everything personal and professional that's scheduled in your calendar, and you put it into here, so at least 20 in here. And if you can't get to 20, then it just says you're not using your calendar probably as well as you should be. But let's just say that you've got 20. When you start putting them all in here and then you rate them from an energy and a goal alignment perspective, you start to see how you're spending your time. Now, mine's not as bad as it used to be, but if I go back to my corporate days, my calendar was chock-a-block full of other people's priorities. I didn't have hardly any time in there for myself, which is crazy, but that's life sometimes if you don't take it on intentionally. So what this framework is meant to do, it allows you to put your activities in, you rate them, you can see where you're spending your time, how it makes you feel, and then we use that information as part of planning your ideal week. So enjoy this process. I'll take you through 2 examples just so you can get the juices flowing, but essentially, I'll use the first one being emails. Now, in my sort of role, I hate doing emails. There was a time when I used to enjoy them, not anymore. So it gives me a 1 as from an energy point of view, so very low energy. And then from a goal alignment perspective, it's a 1. It's, the impact that my emails have on my goals is very little. I can definitely spend my time elsewhere that's more aligned to my goals. There's a couple other things in here like date night. So going out with my wife, that's very important to me. So that's a fuel zone. So it's 5 energy and aligned to my goals. My goals meaning I've got really strong relationships with the people I love. So that's my wife and my son. And then, there's a couple other ones that are down here as well, but you can obviously, if you want, pause the video and you can see those. And in the link, when you download the energy audit, in the notes below, you'll be able to download the energy audit. I've actually left these in there as examples, so you can always reference these as well. So with that said, you're going to enjoy it. Once it's done, we'll dive into the next part, which is the 3 Fs, which we'll do now. Let's do it. All right, now that the energy audit is done, we're now going to dive into the 3 Fs. So the 3 Fs for me is, it's all about family, friends, and fun. Like when I think about, why do we do what we do? Why do we build businesses, work our asses off? In most cases, it's because we're trying to either build a better life for ourselves and our family, spend more time with our family, go on holidays, send our kids to better schools, whatever it might be, right? But it's normally around those 3 Fs, family, friends, and fun. But yeah, when you look at most people's calendars, the only things you ever find in there that are linked to family, friends, and fun are like major events. So it might be something like, a wedding, could be an engagement party, a 21st, a 30th, 40th, 50th, so these milestones, or their 2-week holiday that they're crawling to the finish line so they can finally get on holidays with their family. And that to me is not a recipe for success. And I know that because I did that myself. So back in my corporate days, when I was working for Coca-Cola, literally I would go to the gym in the morning, I'd work all day, I'd be in the office by 6:37, work all day, get home at 7:30, 8 o'clock, have dinner, get to bed, do it all over again. And I'd do that all the way up until I took my annual leave, and that's when I would recoup, re-energize, and then go again. And it's just not sustainable. So this next process, the 3 Fs, allows you to think about those things and then make sure you put them into the framework. And then as part of our planning for the ideal week, we'll grab the energy audit, the 3 Fs, and we'll put that stuff into our calendar first and foremost, the things that give us energy, and then we'll fill around it. But that's enough talking about it. Let's dive into the 3 Fs. All right, here we are. We're inside the 3 Fs framework. So this is really, I love this sort of stuff. This is the part that allows you to go inside a little bit and go, what are the things I really love to do that I don't do enough of, that if it was in my calendar, I'll do more of it. So this is an example of literally my 3Fs framework. So when you download the 3Fs framework, this will be in there as an example for you to reference if you like. But essentially you select whether it's family, friends, or fun in the first column, and then the activity. So for an example, mine's barbecue with the family. What's the core driver? So what is it internally for you that makes you want to do that? And for me, it's connection. I like to have connection with my family, and that's a great way to do it. Have a barbecue, you bring people together. Next one's a frequency. So how often do you want to do it? And why this is really important, as well as a time block, the next column, is that when we put this stuff into our calendar, we're going to put it in as a reoccurring event. All right. So you're going to block out some time. So for me, with my barbecue with the family, I can block that out on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon, reoccurring every month for 4 hours. And if I do that, then I know it's in the calendar and I can try to get my family to my place to make that happen. If I go down a bit further, date night, I mentioned that earlier. So date night's in there. That's a love driver. I'm going to do it weekly, and that's 4 hours. Picking and dropping off Jet. I love doing Jet's my son, so I love doing that. Dropping him off to daycare, picking him up. I get to spend that time with him in the car. So, that's a daily thing, and that's for an hour. So go through this process. If you haven't prioritized this sort of stuff before, it might take a little bit of time for you to work through the list, but enjoy the process. And when you're done, we're going to use this for the next part, which is planning your ideal week. So, which is exactly how I do it and how I teach my clients to do it. So with that said, what we'll do, I'll let you finish that up, and then we'll dive into the next part, which is the building of your ideal week. All right, so we're now in the planning of your ideal week. So the way that I do it is, this is an example calendar, obviously, but I'm just going to give you an idea of how I time block. And then now that you have done the energy audit, you've also done the 3Fs, it's going to allow you the ability to populate your calendar. Now, there's a couple of key things to remember here. Your calendar still needs to be flexible in a way that allows you to obviously do the job that you're paid to do, but you want to try to put all the things in your calendar first that give you energy and that allow you to show up as the best version of yourself. So by the time blocks I'm about to show you, those things that you'll see in here either give me energy or allow me to show up, and then I time block the things that are core operations or where I need to be able to show up for other people. So here I literally go as granular as my sleep time. So I've blocked out from 8 p.m. till 3:30 a.m. So I'm an early morning gym person. So I get up at 3:30 and I'm at the gym by 4. So that's reoccurring every day. Obviously it hasn't been on Sunday, but it's recurring every day. I then got deep work. So obviously owning my own business and building content and training programs, I need that time to have deep work. And I'm sure you've got a similar need in your job where you need to have time to be able to think creatively. So for me, that's 5:30 to 7 a.m. is my deep work time. Then after that, I spend time with my family, and that's where we have breakfast as a family before everyone goes off to work. I've then blocked out core operations from 9 till 12. So obviously in my real calendar, there's meetings and certain business activities that are booked into those time slots. Have lunch, which rarely goes for an hour, but it is blocked out, and then obviously the afternoon of corporations. Then I've got more family time from 6 till 8, so that's dinner, playing with Jet, whatever it might be, and then I'm in bed by 8. Now, this will change for obviously your circumstances and the season that you're in. You might not be married, you might not have kids, you might have 3 or 4 kids and be single parent. So there's a whole range of different variables that happen here, but you'll notice on my weekends, it's all family time and 3Fs time. So, through the week, I try to have it to be family and building business. And then on weekends, it's about spending time with my family. So the other important thing to note here is that I've color coded each of these activities, which is really easy to do no matter what sort of calendar you're using. Most of them have a color coding system, and I've tried to make the things that give me energy green, the things that are kind of neutral to be grey, and then obviously lunch I just made yellow just because I felt like it. But if there's things that drain your energy that you really don't like doing, I want you to mark those as red, because they just allow you from a visual point of view to see your calendar and go, shit, there's a few things in there that are red, I need to do something about that. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this process, and that's exactly how I plan my ideal week. But with that said, I'm going to jump back into the main screen and just do a quick summary. Okay, so that's how I plan my ideal week, and that's how my clients within Cut Through Clarity also plan their weeks. Couple of key things to remember. The energy audit isn't a do it once and that's it. We try to do it every 4 to 6 weeks, and it becomes faster and faster because obviously the more you do it, the more refined you get and the more aware you get of the activities that make it into your calendar. So it does become a faster process. The 3 Fs, that's something I do regularly. I'm always trying to find ways to get some sort of activity that's aligned to 3 Fs into my calendar. So do more of that. And if there's one thing that I know that's made the biggest difference in my calendar, it's having that time with loved ones. And it's scheduled, it's in there, it's non-negotiable. How many times do we as leaders, you're stuck at the office and you have to cancel, or it's in your calendar but someone else wants to take the slot because there's a really important meeting and you bump the person you love for an internal meeting that probably could have been done over the phone. So set boundaries, put the stuff in that's going to give you energy, and just give it a go for 4 weeks and just see the difference. I'd love to hear how you went with the process. If you got some really good outcomes, please share them with me. Follow me here on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, with that said, enjoy planning your ideal week, and I'll see you next time.